Manager yelled at employee in front of everyone, but he revealed a secret that shocked them all. Richard William Thompson never had patience for mistakes, especially when they came from that new employee in the sales department. Tyler. The manager's voice echoed through the entire office. Are you deaf or just incompetent? How many times do I have to repeat the same thing? The 22-year-old kept his head held high as his boss approached with heavy steps. The other employees stopped what they were doing, some pretending to type on their computers, but all of them paying attention to the humiliation about to unfold. It was the third time that week Richard had singled out Tyler as the target of his rage. Mr. Thompson, I only suggested we could optimize the sales process if... Tyler tried to explain, gripping his trembling ID badge tightly. Suggested? Richard laughed mockingly, his face turning red. You've been here 3 months and already want to revolutionize my company? Who do you think you are, kid? Jennifer, the HR supervisor, watched everything from her office door. She knew Richard's explosive temper well, but lately things had been getting worse. The manager seemed to have a particular grudge against Tyler, something beyond just professional demands. I was only trying to help, Tyler replied, his voice steady despite the awkward situation. Help? Richard stepped even closer, jabbing a finger in the young man's face. You know what would help me? If you just did the job you were hired for without questioning every decision I make. Ashley, Tyler's colleague in the department, pressed her lips together tightly. She'd worked there for 5 years and had never seen Richard so aggressive with an employee. There was something strange about this relentless targeting. With all due respect, sir, Tyler took a deep breath. My suggestions increased. Sales by 15% last month. I don't care. Richard slammed his hand on the nearest desk, making everyone in the office flinch. You're just another replaceable employee. Got it? Replaceable. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, back to the story. Mike, Tyler's direct supervisor, finally decided to step in. He rose from his desk and cautiously approached the two. Richard, maybe we can resolve this in your office, Mike suggested, trying to defuse the situation. Stay out of it, Mike. Richard didn't even glance at him. I'm teaching an important lesson here. Everyone needs to understand. There's a hierarchy in this company. Tyler felt the blood rush to his head. For 3 months he'd endured the humiliation, the yelling, the insults, but there was a limit to everything. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from a contained anger threatening to spill over. You're right, Tyler said calmly, surprising everyone. There is a hierarchy and you're at the top of it. Richard smiled smugly, thinking he'd finally put the young man in his place. But you know what's interesting about being at the top? Tyler continued, his eyes locking onto the manager's. The fall is much harder. Richard's smile vanished instantly. There was something in the young man's tone that unsettled him. What are you implying? Are you threatening me? The manager asked, his voice thick with disbelief. It's not a threat. Tyler took a step forward. Just an observation. You've spent the last 3 months humiliating me, belittling me, trying to make me quit. Why? Because you're an incompetent who shouldn't even be here, Richard snapped back. Really? Tyler tilted his head. Or is it because every time you look at me, you see something you'd rather forget? A heavy silence fell over the office. Jennifer took a few steps out of her office, sensing something important was about to happen. The other employees exchanged confused glances. What the hell are you talking about? Richard William Thompson asked, but his voice had lost some of its earlier conviction. 23 years ago, Tyler began, his voice echoing through the silent office. You had an affair with a woman named Hannah Hayes, remember her? Richard's face drained of all color. His hands began to tremble slightly. Jennifer's eyes widened as she started piecing the puzzle together. How did you... Richard couldn't finish his sentence. Hannah Hayes was my mother, Tyler revealed, each word landing like a bomb in the room. And you're my father. Gasps of shock rippled through the office. Ashley dropped the pen she was holding. Mike took a step back, stunned. Jennifer covered her mouth with her hand. This is absurd, Richard stammered, his face alternating between red and white. You're making this up to what? Tyler pulled an old photo from his pocket. To get a job I already have to be humiliated day after day by the man who abandoned my pregnant mother. He held out the photo for everyone to see. It was a faded image of a young couple embracing. The man in the picture was unmistakably Richard, 20 years younger. The woman beside him was beaming. My mother kept this photo all these years, Tyler continued, his voice shaking with emotion. Even after you disappeared, even after you told her the child she was carrying wasn't your problem. Richard stared at the photo as if he'd seen a ghost. His legs seemed to give out and he had to lean on a desk to steady himself. I didn't, he mumbled. You didn't know I existed, Tyler finished bitterly. Of course you did. My mother tried to reach out to you so many times. She sent letters, called your house, but you always ignored her. Sarah, the receptionist who had worked at the company for 15 years, vaguely remembered a woman who used to come to the office, looking for Richard in the early 2000s. She was always turned away by security. Do you know why I came to work here? Tyler asked, tucking the photo back into his pocket. Not for revenge, like you're probably thinking. It was because I wanted to understand. Understand what? Richard managed to ask, his voice barely a whisper. What kind of man abandons his own child? Tyler answered. What kind of man pretends a child doesn't exist just because they don't fit into his life plans? The silence in the office was deafening. No one dared move or speak. They were all witnessing a moment that would forever change the dynamics of that place. For 3 months, I saw you every day, Tyler continued. I saw how you treat people, how you act like you're better than everyone. And you know what I realized? Richard didn't answer. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in minutes. I realized my mother and I didn't miss out on anything, Tyler said, a single tear rolling down his face. You're exactly the kind of father I imagined, selfish, cruel, and a coward. Tyler, Richard tried to speak, but the words died in his throat. No, Tyler raised his hand. You had 22 years to say something. Now it's too late. He took off his employee badge and placed it on the nearest desk. I quit, Tyler announced. Not because you humiliated me or made my life here hell. I quit because I finally understand I don't need the approval of a man who never wanted to be my father. Richard William Thompson took a step toward Tyler, but the young man stepped back. Please don't, Tyler pleaded. Don't make this any harder. I just wanted you to know the truth. I wanted everyone here to know what kind of man you really are. Jennifer finally found her voice. Tyler, wait, she urged. You don't have to leave. We can figure this out another way. Thank you, Jennifer. Tyler gave her a sad smile. But some problems don't have solutions. Some mistakes can't be fixed. He took one last look at Richard, who stood frozen like a statue. You know the saddest part of all this? Tyler asked. I came here ready to forgive, ready to try to build some kind of relationship, but you showed me I made the right choice, staying away. The young man started walking toward the exit, but stopped at the door and turned. Oh, and Mr. Thompson, he called. My mother died 2 years ago. She died still waiting for you to at least acknowledge my existence. I just thought you should know. With that, Tyler left the office, leaving behind a shattered Richard and a team in complete shock. Ashley was the first to recover. She ran, after Tyler catching up to him in the hallway. Tyler, wait, she called. He stopped, turning slowly. His eyes were red but dry. You don't have to say anything, Ash, he murmured. I knew there was something strange, she said, breathless. The way he treated you, and it was too personal. He always knew, Tyler confirmed. From day one. He recognized my last name, saw the resemblance. That's why he tried to make me quit. Are you going to be okay? Ashley asked, genuinely concerned. I will, Tyler tried to smile. My mother raised me alone. She was strong and she taught me to be strong too. Meanwhile, back in the office, Richard had finally moved. He staggered to his private office, slamming the door behind him. The employees began murmuring among themselves, still processing what they had just witnessed. Did any of you know? Mike asked no one in particular. Did anyone here know? They all shook their heads. Jennifer, however, remained thoughtful. Now some things make sense, she said quietly. What do you mean? Mike asked. His insistence on not hiring Tyler at first, Jennifer explained. The board approved the hire. Richard was against it from the start. My God, Sarah exclaimed. Imagine living with that for over 20 years, denying your own son's existence. And Tyler's mother, another employee added. He said she died still waiting. How heartbreaking. Jennifer's phone rang. It was the board wanting to know what was happening. Apparently, someone had already reported the incident. As Jennifer tried to explain the situation over the phone, Richard remained locked in his office, staring blankly at the wall. His mind traveled back in time to an era he had tried so hard to forget. Hannah. She had been the love of his life, but he was young, ambitious, and engaged to Barbara, the daughter of a prominent businessman. When Hannah told him she was pregnant, he panicked. He chose his career, the money, the status. He chose cowardice. Now, 22 years later, the consequences of his choices had finally caught up to him. And what good was all the success? All the money if he had failed at the most basic thing, being human. Outside the building, Tyler sat on a bench trying to process everything that had happened. He hadn't planned to reveal the truth like that. He wanted to do it privately, calmly. But the public humiliation had been the last straw. His phone rang, an unknown number. Hello, he answered. Tyler, an unfamiliar woman's voice asked. My name is Barbara Thompson. I'm Richard William Thompson's wife. Tyler's heart raced. This was a twist he hadn't seen coming. Mrs. Thompson, he said cautiously, how did you get my number? Jennifer from HR gave it to me, Barbara explained. Tyler, I need to talk to you. Can we meet somewhere? I don't think that's a good idea, Tyler replied. Please, her voice trembled. There are things you need to know, things about your father. About us, about everything. Tyler hesitated. The last thing he wanted was more drama. But something in the woman's voice made him reconsider. All right, he agreed. Where? There's a coffee shop on Cherry Blossom Street, Barbara suggested. Can we meet in an hour? I'll be there, Tyler confirmed. He hung up, wondering what other surprises the day had in store for him. Back at the office, the news had spread like wildfire. Every department already knew about the family connection between Tyler and Richard William Thompson. Speculations ran rampant. Jennifer tried to maintain some order, but it was difficult. She knocked on Richard's office door. Richard, she called, we need to talk. There was no answer. Richard, the board is calling, Jennifer insisted. They want to know what's happening. The door finally opened. Richard looked like he'd aged years in minutes. His eyes were red and swollen. What have I done, Jennifer? He asked, his voice breaking. What have I done? Jennifer had never seen her boss in such a state. The usually confident, authoritative man had completely crumbled. You made choices, Jennifer said gently. Wrong choices, but they can still be fixed. Fixed? Richard laughed bitterly. Did you hear what he said? His mother died waiting. She died, Jennifer, and I didn't even know. But Tyler is alive, Jennifer pointed out, and from what I've seen, he's an incredible young man, smart, dedicated, honest. Hannah did a great job raising him. Alone, Richard finished, because I was a coward. Yes, Jennifer didn't soften the blow. You were, but the question now is, are you going to stay that way? Richard stared at her, confused. He left here thinking you don't care. Jennifer explained. That you're exactly the monster he imagined all these years. Is that what you want him to keep believing? He won't want to talk to me, Richard said. Maybe not today, Jennifer agreed. Maybe not tomorrow, but you have to try. You owe him that. You owe Hannah that. Meanwhile, at the coffee shop on Cherry Blossom Street, Tyler waited nervously. He didn't know what to expect from this conversation with Barbara Thompson. Was she a woman bitter about her husband's betrayal? Or had she known nothing? The answer came when an elegant woman in her 50s entered the cafe. Her eyes searched until they found Tyler, and she walked toward him with determined steps. Tyler, she said, sitting across from him, thank you for coming. Mrs. Thompson, Tyler began, but she interrupted him. Barbara, please, she requested. After all, technically I'm your... Well, this is complicated. Did you know? Tyler asked directly. Barbara took a deep breath. I found out 5 years ago, she revealed. I came across old letters your mother had sent to Richard. Tyler felt a lump in his throat. He kept the letters, he asked, surprised. Every single one, Barbara confirmed, hidden in a box at the back of the closet. I read them all. Your mother, she seemed like an incredible woman. She was, Tyler said simply. I confronted Richard back then, Barbara continued. It was hard. Our marriage was never the same after that. Why didn't you divorce? Tyler asked. It's complicated. Barbara took a sip of her coffee. We have 2 children. Philip is 28 and Amanda is 25. They don't know about you. Tyler processed the information. He had siblings. Half-brothers technically, but still. Why are you telling me this? He asked. Because I want you to know that not everyone in the Thompson family is like Richard, Barbara said. And because I think it's long past time for the whole truth to come out. What do you mean? Tyler asked, uneasy. I mean, my children have the right to know they have a brother, Barbara explained. And you have the right to know your family if you want to. Barbara, with all due respect, Tyler said carefully, I don't think that's a good idea. I've already caused enough trouble. You haven't caused any trouble, Barbara said firmly. Richard caused all of this with the choices he made. You're just a victim of his decisions. Your kids will hate me, Tyler said. They might be shocked at first, Barbara admitted, but they're good people. They were raised to be better than their father. Tyler didn't know what to say. In just a few hours, his life had been turned upside down. He'd come to work expecting just another day of humiliation. Instead, he'd uncovered a 2-decade-old secret and was now being invited into a family he never knew he had. I need time to think, he finally said. Of course, Barbara agreed. Take all the time you need. But Tyler, I want you to know one thing. No matter what Richard did or didn't do, you have family. And family should stick together. She stood up, leaving a card on the table. My personal number, she said. When you're ready, if you're ready, call me. Barbara left, leaving Tyler even more confused than before. He looked at the card, then at his phone. There were so many conflicting emotions inside him that he didn't know where to begin processing them. Back at the office, the tension was growing. Richard William had locked himself in his office again, refusing to speak to anyone. The board had scheduled an emergency meeting for the next day. Mike, as Tyler's direct supervisor, was being bombarded with questions. You really didn't notice anything? Ashley asked. No resemblance at all? Now that you mention it, Mike said thoughtfully, there was something familiar about Tyler, but I could never put my finger on it. The way he walks, Sarah chimed in. Tyler walks just like Richard. That same determined stride, the upright posture. And the eyes, Jennifer added. They're the same shape, the same intensity. How could Richard do this? A younger employee asked. How could someone abandon their own child? People make terrible choices when they're young, Jennifer said. The problem is when they keep making those choices for decades. The day was ending, but no one seemed to want to leave. It was as if they were all waiting for something, some resolution to this surreal story. Then the elevator doors opened and Tyler appeared. Everyone turned to stare at him, surprised. I forgot my things, he explained, walking to his old desk. The silence was awkward. Tyler gathered his personal belongings under everyone's watchful eyes. When he finished, he paused and looked around. I know you all have questions, he said. And I know this must have been shocking for you, but I want you to know I enjoyed working here. Most of you were kind to me, and I appreciate that. Tyler, Ashley stepped forward. You don't have to go. What happened isn't your fault. I know, Tyler said with a sad smile, but I can't stay. Not after all this. What about him? Mike asked, nodding toward Richard's office. What about him? Tyler replied. Aren't you going to try talking to him? Mike pressed. Give him a chance? He's had 22 years of chances, Tyler answered. I'm not the one who needs to make the first move. Just then, the door to Richard's office opened. He walked out, looking even more dejected than before. His eyes met Tyler's across the office. For a moment, father and son stared at each other. The air was thick with tension and expectation. Everyone held their breath. Richard William took a step forward, then another. Tyler remained still, watching. "Tyler?" Richard Williams said, his voice hoarse. I need... "No," Tyler interrupted. "Not here, not in front of everyone again." "Then where?" Richard Williams asked desperately. "When? Will you give me a chance to..." "Explain? Explain what?" Tyler asked. "Why you abandoned my mother when she was pregnant? Why you pretended I didn't exist? Why you treated me like garbage for 3 months? I was scared," Richard Williams admitted. "When you showed up here, I panicked. You look so much like her." "Don't use my mother as an excuse," Tyler warned. "She deserves more respect than that." "You're right," Richard Williams agreed. "I was a coward. I was selfish. I was everything you said and more. But Tyler, please, let me try to fix this." "Fix it?" Tyler laughed bitterly. "Do you think you can fix 22 years of absence? Do you think you can fix the fact that my mother died without ever hearing you acknowledge I was your son?" Richard Williams began to cry. There, in front of all his employees, the man who had always been a symbol of authority and strength completely broke down. "I'm sorry," he sobbed. "I'm so sorry." Tyler closed his eyes, fighting his own emotions. Part of him wanted to embrace that man, accept his apology, try to build something. But the other part, the part that had seen his mother cry so many nights, that had grown up without a father at family gatherings, that had been humiliated for 3 months, that part couldn't forgive. "Not yet. I need to go," Tyler finally said. "Please," Richard Williams begged, "just tell me there's hope. That one day we can talk." Tyler looked at the man who was his biological father, but had never truly been his dad. He saw genuine regret in his eyes, but he also saw the years of wrong choices that had led to this moment. "Maybe," was all Tyler could say, "but not today." He walked out of the office for the second time that day, leaving behind a broken Richard Williams and a team in complete silence. Outside, Tyler took a deep breath of the night air. His phone buzzed. It was a message from an unknown number. "Tyler, it's Amanda, Richard Williams' daughter. My mother told me everything. I know this is weird, but you're my brother and I'd like to meet you if you're willing. No pressure. Amanda." Tyler stared at the message for a long time. In a single day, he had lost a job, confronted his absent father, met his wife, and now was being contacted by a sister he never knew existed. He put his phone away without replying. He needed time to process it all. He needed to figure out what he really wanted. As he walked to the bus stop, Tyler thought of his mother. Hannah Hayes had been a strong woman, raising him alone with love and dedication. She never spoke ill of Richard Williams, but Tyler had always known there was pain in her silence. "Mom," he thought, looking up at the starry sky. He finally knows, everyone finally knows. I hope wherever you are, this brings you some peace. The next morning, the office was in an uproar. The news had reached the directors, and an emergency meeting had been called. Richard Williams arrived earlier than usual, but looked like he'd aged years in a single night. Jennifer found him in his office, staring out the window. "How are you?" she asked gently. "Destroyed," Richard Williams replied without turning. "I spent the whole night thinking about every wrong choice I made, about all the time I wasted." "And what are you going to do now?" Jennifer asked. "I don't know," he admitted. "Barbara wants a divorce. My kid... Well, Philip isn't speaking to me. Amanda wants to meet Tyler." "What about Tyler?" Jennifer asked. "Are you going to try to get closer to him?" "How?" Richard finally turned to her. "You saw how he looked at me, with disgust, with anger, and he has every right." "He was also in pain," Jennifer observed. "This won't be resolved overnight, Richard. It'll take time." "Time," Richard repeated bitterly. "I wasted 22 years. How much more do I have?" The board meeting was tense. Richard had to explain the whole situation, admit his mistakes, and accept the consequences. It was decided he would take a temporary leave to sort out his personal affairs. Meanwhile, Tyler was in his small apartment, staring at the ceiling. He hadn't slept all night. His phone wouldn't stop ringing. Unknown numbers, probably reporters, who had uncovered the story. He picked up the card Barbara had left and turned it between his fingers. Then he grabbed his phone and looked again at Amanda's message. Two women who had nothing to do with Richard's mistakes, but were willing to welcome him. Before he could second-guess himself, Tyler typed a reply to Amanda. "Hi, Amanda. I know this is strange for all of us, but yes, I'd like to meet you too. When would work for you?" The reply came almost immediately. "How about coffee this afternoon? I know a quiet place where we can talk without interruptions." Tyler agreed, and they set the time for 3 o'clock. He spent the rest of the morning mentally preparing to meet the sister he never knew he had. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now continuing. The cafe Amanda chose was in a quiet neighborhood, far from the business district. Tyler arrived a few minutes early and picked a corner table where he could see the entrance. When Amanda walked in, he knew immediately it was her. There was something familiar in her features, something he saw in the mirror every day. She recognized him too, walking straight to his table. "Tyler," she said, a little awkwardly. "I'm Amanda." "Hi," Tyler replied, equally uneasy. "Thanks for coming." They sat and ordered coffee. The initial silence was uncomfortable, neither knowing how to start. "This is surreal," Amanda finally said. "Yesterday morning I had one brother. Today I have two." "I'm sorry about all this," Tyler said. "I never meant to cause trouble for your family." "Our family," Amanda gently corrected. "And you didn't cause anything. Dad did when, well, you know." "How are you handling everything?" Tyler asked. "Badly," Amanda admitted. "Philip is furious. Mom is weirdly calm. I think she always expected this would come out someday." "And you?" Tyler asked. "Me?" Amanda took a sip of coffee. "I'm curious. I always wanted another brother. Philip is great, but he's always been so serious, so much like Dad." "I'm nothing like him," Tyler said quickly. "I know." Amanda smiled. "Mom told me about your mother. Said she was an incredible woman." "She was," Tyler confirmed, his voice softening as he spoke of Hannah. "Tell me about her?" Amanda asked. "If it's not too hard." Tyler hesitated for a moment, but there was something genuine in Amanda's interest, so he began to speak. He talked about Hannah, how she raised him alone, the sacrifices she made, the unconditional love she always showed. Amanda listened intently, asking occasional questions. As Tyler spoke, the tension between them began to ease. "She seems to have been a wonderful mother," Amanda said when he finished. "The best," Tyler agreed. "She did the work of two parents." "You know," Amanda said carefully, "growing up with Richard as a father wasn't exactly a walk in the park either." Tyler looked at her, surprised. "He was always distant," Amanda explained. "Worked too much, demanded too much. Philip developed anxiety trying to meet his expectations. I learned early on to keep my distance. But at least he was there," Tyler pointed out. "Physically, yes," Amanda agreed. "Emotionally? Not so much. Do you know how many times he came to one of my school performances? 0. There was always a more important meeting." Tyler didn't know what to say. He had assumed Richard's legitimate children had lived a perfect life. "I'm not saying it was the same as what you went through," Amanda clarified quickly. "I know having no father is different from having an absent one. But maybe you didn't lose as much as you think." They kept talking for hours. Amanda shared stories from her childhood about the Thompson family dynamics. Tyler shared memories of Hannah, what it was like growing up without a father. Surprisingly, they discovered they had a lot in common. Both loved music, literature, old films. Both had chosen careers Richard disapproved of. Amanda was a visual artist. "He wanted me to be a lawyer," Amanda laughed. "Said art wasn't a serious profession." "He said the same thing about sales," Tyler remarked, "that I was wasting my potential." "What did you study?" Amanda asked. "Business," Tyler replied, "but my dream was always to work with people, not numbers." By the time they finally said goodbye, it was dark. What had started as an awkward meeting had turned into a genuine connection. "Tyler," Amanda said before they parted, "I know all of this is complicated and painful, but I want you to know I'm glad to have a brother like you." "Me too," Tyler admitted, surprised at his own sincerity. Philip will take a little longer to process everything, Amanda warned. He's more traditional, but I'm sure he'll want to meet you eventually. No rush, Tyler said. I've had enough emotions. For 1 week. They exchanged phone numbers and hugged briefly before leaving. Tyler walked home feeling strangely lighter. Maybe something good could come from this whole mess. In the days that followed, Tyler's life settled into an odd routine. He job hunted during the day, but his mind kept drifting back to the events of that fateful Tuesday. Amanda sent occasional messages, sharing little things about her day, slowly building the sibling relationship they'd never had. Richard, meanwhile, was living his own hell. Barbara had temporarily moved in with her sister, taking her things little by little. Philip refused to answer his calls. Only Amanda stayed in touch, but even she kept her distance. At work, even. On leave, the fallout continued. His reputation, built over decades, was in tatters. Employees who once feared him now looked at him with a mix of pity and disdain. A week after the revelation, Richard was sitting alone in his empty apartment when the doorbell rang. He wasn't expecting anyone and considered ignoring it, but the insistence made him get up. It was Jennifer, holding a bag of food. I figured. You weren't eating properly, she said, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Jennifer, Richard began, but she cut him off. I'm not here as your employee, she clarified. I'm here as someone who's known you for 15 years and is worried. She walked to the kitchen and started preparing something for them to eat. Richard William Thompson followed her, unsure of what to say. You need to stop this self-pity, Jennifer said, as she chopped vegetables. Yes, you messed up. You messed up badly. But sitting here feeling sorry for yourself won't change the past. What else can I do? Richard asked. I've lost everything. My family, the son I never knew, the respect of my employees. You lost all that the moment you abandoned Hannah when she was pregnant, Jennifer said bluntly. It just took 22 years for the bill to come due. Richard shrank under the weight of her harsh truth. But, Jennifer continued, there's still time to do something about it. Tyler is alive. Your other children are alive. You're alive. As long as there's life, there's a chance for change. Tyler doesn't want to see me, Richard said. Not yet, Jennifer corrected. He needs time. And you need to prove you've changed, not just with words, but with actions. What kind of actions? Richard asked. To start, Jennifer suggested, how about publicly acknowledging Tyler as your son? Not out of legal obligation, but by choice. Show you're no longer ashamed of him. Richard considered the suggestion. The idea of making his paternity public terrified him, but maybe that was exactly why he needed to do it. And there's more, Jennifer went on. I found out Hannah left some debts when she passed. Medical bills from her treatment. Tyler's still paying them off. What? Richard straightened. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because you never asked, Jennifer replied. You never cared about their lives, but it's not too late to start. They ate in relative silence, Richard processing everything Jennifer had said. As she was leaving, he caught her by the arm. Thank you, he said sincerely, for not giving up on me. Everyone deserves a second chance, Richard, Jennifer said. The question is what you'll do with yours. The next day, Richard took his first concrete step. He went to the courthouse and began the process of legally acknowledging Tyler as his son. It wasn't legally necessary, Tyler was an adult, but it was an important symbolic gesture. Then he went to the bank and opened an account in Tyler's name, depositing a substantial sum, not to buy forgiveness, but to settle Hannah's medical debts and ensure his son had some financial security. His next stop was harder. Richard went to the cemetery where Hannah was buried. He brought flowers, white lilies her favorite, as he remembered. Standing before her simple grave, he finally let himself cry for all he had lost. For Hannah, the incredible woman she had been. For Tyler, the son he'd never watched grow. For himself, the man he could have been. Forgive me, Hannah, he whispered. I failed you. I failed our son. But I swear I'll try to fix what I still can. While Richard sought redemption, Tyler was on his own journey. His conversations with Amanda had become daily, and through her he was starting to understand the family he'd never known. You know, Amanda said during one of their coffee meetings, I always felt like something was missing in our family. Now I know what it was. Don't romanticize it, Tyler warned. I turned out fine without you. I know, Amanda agreed. But that doesn't mean we can't build something now. What about Philip? Tyler asked. Does he still refuse to meet me? He's processing it, Amanda explained. Philip was always the perfect son, you know. Finding out Dad had a secret like this shattered the image he had of our family. Must be hard to learn your father isn't the man you thought he was, Tyler remarked. You found out the opposite, Amanda observed. That he was exactly the man you thought. Touché, Tyler said with a sad smile. Just then his phone rang. It was an unknown number, but something made him answer. Tyler, a hesitant male voice asked. It's me, Philip, your brother. Tyler nearly dropped the phone. He looked at Amanda, who seemed equally surprised. Philip, Tyler managed to say. Hi. I know this is strange, Philip continued. And I know it took me a while to reach out, but would you like to meet, talk? Of course, Tyler replied, still processing. Whenever you want. They set it for the next day. When he hung up, Tyler looked at Amanda. I didn't expect that, he admitted. Philip always takes time to process things, Amanda explained. But once he decides something, he follows through. The meeting with Philip was different from the one with Amanda. Where she was warm and welcoming, Philip was reserved and analytical. They met at a quiet restaurant and the first few minutes were tense. I'll be direct, Philip said after they ordered. I'm here because Amanda insisted, but also because I need to understand some things. Ask whatever you want, Tyler offered. Why now? Philip asked. Why show up after all these years? I didn't show up, Tyler clarified. I've always existed. I always knew who my father was. The thing is, he chose to pretend I didn't. And why work at the company? Philip pressed. Was it for revenge? No, Tyler was honest. It was curiosity. I wanted to see what kind of man he was. I wanted to understand why he abandoned us. And what did you find out? Philip asked. That he's exactly who I feared he was, Tyler answered. Selfish, cruel when crossed, more concerned with appearances than people. Philip fell silent for a moment, processing. You're right, he finally said, surprising Tyler. He's all of that. I've spent my whole life trying to earn his approval and I never could. But you're the legitimate son, Tyler pointed out. Legitimate, Philip repeated bitterly. Do you know what that really means? It means carrying impossible expectations. It means never being good enough. It means living in the shadow of a man who only cares about himself. Tyler began to see Philip in a new light. The older brother wasn't the privileged son he'd imagined, but another victim of Richard William Thompson's selfishness. Do you know what my first reaction was when I found out about you? Philip asked. Anger, Tyler suggested. Relief, Philip confessed. Relief to know I'm not the problem, that he's capable of abandoning a child, of treating people as disposable. They kept talking and gradually the barriers fell. Philip shared stories of his childhood, the constant pressure, the suffocating expectations. Tyler talked about Hannah, about growing up without a father, about the freedom that paradoxically gave him. You were lucky, Philip said at one point. You had a mother who loved you unconditionally. We had two parents, but neither was really there. Barbara seems like a good person, Tyler observed. She is, Philip agreed. But she was always more of a mediator than a mother. She spent so much time trying to keep the peace between us and Dad that she forgot to just be our mum. When they said goodbye, there was a mutual understanding between them. They weren't friends yet, but they weren't strangers anymore. Tyler, Philip said before leaving, I know Dad hurt you deeply. I know he doesn't deserve forgiveness, but he's our father, and as bad as he is, that means something. What are you suggesting? Tyler asked. I'm not suggesting anything, Philip clarified. I'm just saying family is complicated, and like it or not, we're family now. As the brothers began to know each other, Richard William Thompson continued his lonely journey of attempted redemption. He had made the practical changes Jennifer suggested, but he knew they weren't enough. One afternoon, while organizing old papers, he found the box with Hannah's letters. Barbara was right. He had kept every single one. Why? Maybe guilt, maybe a lingering shred of conscience. He read them again, one by one. The first ones were hopeful, Hannah writing about her pregnancy, asking to talk. The middle ones grew desperate, pleading for help, for acknowledgement. The last ones were resigned, simply marking milestones. Tyler was born. Tyler said his first words. Tyler started school. The final letter was different, dated 5 years ago, just before Hannah fell ill. Richard. This is my last attempt to reach you. Tyler is a man now, graduated, working, building his life. He grew up without you, and honestly, I think it was for the best. I forgave you long ago. Not for you, but for myself and Tyler. Holding on to anger would only have hurt us, but forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. Tyler knows who you are. He always has. One day he might come looking for you. If that happens, I ask just one thing. Be honest with him. He deserves at least that. Hannah. Richard William Thompson cried as he read the letter. Hannah had been an extraordinary woman to the end, and he had wasted the chance to truly know her, to be a father to the incredible son she had raised. His phone rang. It was Jennifer. Richard, there's something you need to know, she said. Tyler's struggling to find work. It seems the story leaked, and some companies are hesitant to hire someone tied to a scandal. Richard felt his blood boil. His selfishness was hurting Tyler yet again. What can I do? He asked. I have an idea, Jennifer said, but you won't like it. The next day, Richard did something he never imagined he would do. He called a press conference. The company's press room was packed with journalists, all eager for the story of the executive and his secret son. Richard walked in with steady steps, though inside he was trembling. He sat before the microphones and took a deep breath. Thank you for coming, he began. I called this press conference to address the rumors circulating and, more importantly, to correct a 22-year mistake. The journalists leaned forward, recorders and cameras ready. 22 years ago, Richard continued, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I abandoned a woman pregnant with my child. For 2 decades, I denied that child's existence. His name is Tyler Hayes, and he is my son. Camera flashes erupted. Questions were shouted, but Richard raised a hand for silence. I'm not here to justify myself, he said. There's no justification for what I did. I'm here to publicly acknowledge Tyler as my son and to apologize publicly to him and to the memory of his mother, Hannah Hayes. Mr. Thompson, one journalist managed to ask, why only now? Because Tyler had the courage to confront me, Richard answered honestly. Because he's a better man than I ever was, and because it's long past time I took responsibility for my actions. Where is Tyler now? Another reporter asked. I don't know, Richard admitted. He doesn't want contact with me, and I respect that. But I want him to know, and everyone to know, that I'm proud to be his father, even if I don't deserve that title. The press conference lasted another half hour. Richard answered every question with brutal honesty, never painting himself as a victim or downplaying his mistakes. When it ended, he felt exhausted but strangely relieved. He had exposed his shame to the world, but he had also finally acknowledged Tyler publicly. Tyler watched the press conference from his apartment, Amanda by his side. She had insisted on being there when she learned what his father planned to do. Thank you, Amanda said when the broadcast ended. I didn't think he'd have the courage. Tyler was silent, processing what he had just seen. Richard William Thompson seemed genuinely remorseful, but they were just words. Words were easy. How are you feeling? Amanda asked gently. I don't know, Tyler admitted. Angry because this doesn't change the past. Relieved because he finally admitted it. Confused because I don't know what to do with it. You don't have to do anything, Amanda said. Not right away. It takes time to process something like this. Tyler's phone began ringing incessantly. Journalists, probably. He turned it off. Do you want to get out of here? Amanda suggested. We can go to my place. I'm sure the press will come looking for you. Tyler agreed. As he gathered a few things, he thought about how much his life had changed in such a short time. from a humiliated employee to a publicly acknowledged son. But public recognition didn't heal 2 decades of wounds. At Amanda's place, a cozy apartment filled with art, Tyler finally allowed himself to relax. Barbara was there, having watched the interview too. "How are you holding up?" Barbara asked with maternal concern. "Overwhelmed," Tyler answered honestly. "Richard did the right thing," Barbara said. "Too late, but he did it." "Does this change anything between you two?" Tyler asked. "No," Barbara replied. "The divorce still stands, but I'm glad he finally took responsibility for you." Philip arrived shortly after, looking thoughtful. "I saw the interview," he told Tyler. "I've never seen Dad so vulnerable." "It was just an interview," Tyler said. "No," Philip disagreed. "You don't know Richard William Thompson like we do. He never admits mistakes publicly. That must have been torture for him." "Good," Tyler said with some bitterness. "Maybe a fraction of what my mother went through." "You have every right to be angry," Philip said. "But this was a start, a small step." "Toward what?" Tyler asked. "I'm not going to pretend we're suddenly one happy family." "No one's asking you to," Amanda interjected. "But maybe we can be some kind of family. Imperfect, complicated, but family." Tyler looked around. Barbara, the stepmother he never had. Amanda, the artistic sister who had welcomed him immediately. Philip, the straight-laced brother trying to understand. They were strangers weeks ago, and now, "It's a lot," he finally said. "Yes," Barbara agreed. "And you can take all the time you need, there's no rush." In the days that followed, Tyler's life turned upside down again. Richard William Thompson's interview had gone viral. Some criticized him for taking so long to acknowledge his son. Others praised his honesty. For Tyler, the attention was unwanted. He just wanted to move on, find a new job, forget the whole situation. But that seemed impossible now. It was Jennifer who offered an unexpected solution. "I know you don't want to go back to the company," she said during a call. "And I completely understand, but I have contacts at other firms. I can help you find something." "Why would you do that?" Tyler asked. "Because you're a good professional being hurt by something that isn't your fault," Jennifer answered. "And because someone needs to do the right thing in all this." With Jennifer's help, Tyler secured interviews at several companies. His history with Richard William Thompson was known, but Jennifer had given excellent references, focusing on his professionalism and competence. Within 2 weeks, he had 3 job offers. He chose a mid-sized company with a more family-like atmosphere, where he could start fresh without the weight of the Thompson name. Amanda celebrated by taking him out to dinner. "See," she said, "things are getting better." "A job doesn't fix everything," Tyler said, but he was smiling. "No," Amanda agreed, "but it's a start. Just like Dad acknowledging you was a beginning. Just like us getting to know each other was a beginning." "You're too optimistic," Tyler remarked. "And you're too pessimistic," Amanda countered. "Maybe together we'll find a balance." That night, Tyler received a message from Richard William Thompson. It was the first attempt at direct contact since the interview. "Tyler, I don't expect a reply, but I needed to tell you I'm sorry. Not just for the past, but for making your life difficult now. Jennifer told me about the trouble finding work. I'm glad you landed something. You deserve success and happiness. Your father, I know I don't deserve that title, but it's what I am." Tyler read the message several times. He didn't reply, but he didn't delete it either. Tyler's new job was at a tech company that developed solutions for small businesses. The environment was completely different from Richard's corporate world, more informal, collaborative, welcoming. His boss, Robert, was a 50-year-old man who had built the company from the ground up. "I know about your story," Robert said on the first day, "and I want you to know that here it doesn't matter. What matters is your work and your character." "Thank you," Tyler said, genuinely grateful. "Besides," Robert continued with a smile, "we all have complicated stories. Mine involves 2 divorces and a son who raises llamas in the countryside." Tyler laughed, feeling himself relax for the first time in weeks. The work was challenging, but rewarding. Tyler threw himself into it, determined to prove his worth on his own merit. His co-workers were welcoming, and soon he was fully part of the team. Amanda remained his biggest source of support. They had developed a routine of having lunch together twice a week, sharing updates about their lives. "Philip wants to host a dinner," she announced during one of those lunches. "All of us, including Dad." Tyler paused with his fork halfway to his mouth. "I don't know if I'm ready for that," he said. "No one's pressuring you," Amanda assured him. "Philip just thought it'd be good for us to try being some kind of family." "And Barbara?" Tyler asked. "Would she be comfortable with that?" "It was her idea," Amanda revealed. "She says that, regardless of the divorce, we're all adults and can be civil." Tyler considered the proposal. Part of him wanted to refuse immediately, but another part was curious. What would it be like to sit at the same table as Richard in a family setting? "Can I think about it?" he asked. "Of course," Amanda said. "No pressure. But Tyler, it'd be nice to have you there." That night, Tyler called the one person who could understand his dilemma. Mrs. Wilson, his neighbor and his mother's best friend, had been like a grandmother to him. "My boy," Mrs. Wilson said when she answered. "How are you?" Tyler told her everything that had happened in the past few weeks. Mrs. Wilson listened quietly, occasionally murmuring in understanding. "And now they want to have a family dinner," Tyler finished. "I don't know what to do." "What does your heart say?" Mrs. Wilson asked. "My heart is confused," Tyler admitted. "Part of me wants to get to know my siblings better, but sitting at the table with him—" "Tyler," Mrs. Wilson said gently, "your mother was a wise woman. Do you know what she once told me about Richard?" "What?" Tyler asked. "That holding on to anger was like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die," Mrs. Wilson said. "She chose to forgive, not for him, but for the two of you." "She was a better person than I am," Tyler said. "She raised you, Mrs." Wilson reminded him. "Something of her lives in you. Maybe it's time to let that kindness bloom." Tyler thought about Mrs. Wilson's words for days. Finally, he sent Amanda a message accepting the dinner invitation. Her reply was immediate and full of joyful emojis. The dinner was scheduled for a Saturday evening at the house that had once belonged to the Thompson family and where only Philip now lived temporarily. Barbara had moved out for good, and Richard William Thompson was staying in a rented apartment. Tyler arrived right on time, his stomach in knots. Amanda opened the door before he could even ring the bell. "You came," she exclaimed, hugging him. "I said I would," Tyler reminded her. "I know, but, well, we're all nervous," Amanda admitted. The house was large but cozy, tastefully decorated. Tyler could see Barbara's touch everywhere: flower arrangements, family photo frames, artwork on the walls. Philip was in the living room setting the table. He waved at Tyler. "Thanks for coming," Philip said. "I know it can't be easy for any of us," Tyler observed. Barbara appeared from the kitchen wearing an apron and smiling warmly. "Tyler," she greeted him. "I'm so glad you came. I hope you like lasagna." "Love it," Tyler said, starting to relax a little. Then Richard William Thompson walked in. He looked different, thinner with deep bags under his eyes, appearing older. His eyes met Tyler's, and for a moment, no one spoke. "Thank you for coming," Richard finally said, his voice quiet. Tyler just nodded, not trusting his own voice. The dinner began tensely. Everyone was overly polite, talking about trivial things: the weather, traffic, the news, anything but the elephant in the room. It was Barbara who broke the ice. "This is ridiculous," she declared, setting down her fork. "We're all walking on eggshells. Tyler, you have questions. Richard, you have things to say. Why don't we just be honest?" Everyone stared at her, surprised. "Barbara," Richard began. "No," she interrupted. "We've spent decades sweeping things under the rug. Enough. Tyler he's family now. He deserves honesty." Tyler felt a wave of gratitude for this strong woman. "All right," he said. "I have a question. Why? Why was it so easy to abandon me?" Richard seemed to shrink in his chair. "It wasn't easy," he said, "but I was a coward. I was afraid of losing everything I'd built. My engagement to Barbara, my position at her father's company, the future I'd planned. So you chose your future over mine, Tyler said. Yes, Richard admitted, and it was the worst decision of my life. I spent 22 years trying to justify it, trying to forget, but you were always there in the back of my mind, and when you showed up at the office, you tried to make me give up, Tyler finished. I panicked, Richard confessed. Seeing you was like seeing Hannah all over again, and seeing the man you'd become without me, in spite of me. It was too much. So you humiliated me, Tyler said, his voice hardening. Yes, Richard didn't try to defend himself. I was cruel, petty. I tried to push you away because your presence constantly reminded me of my failure as a man. Amanda took Tyler's hand under the table, offering silent support. And now? Tyler asked. What do you want from me? Nothing, Richard said, surprising everyone. I have no right to ask anything of you. I just hope that one day you might forgive me. Not for my sake, but for yours. Carrying anger is too heavy. Mom said the same thing, Tyler murmured. Hannah was wise, Richard said with a sad smile. Far wiser than I ever was. The silence that followed was less tense. Philip moved to pour more wine, and Barbara began telling a story about Amanda as a child, lightening the mood. As the night went on, the conversation flowed more naturally. Tyler found himself laughing at stories of his siblings' childhoods, sharing a few of his own. Richard participated little, mostly observing, as if committing every moment to memory. When dessert arrived, Tyler felt strangely comfortable. It wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was something. A beginning, perhaps. Tyler, Philip said over coffee, I know this is all complicated, but I want you to know I'm glad to have you as my brother. Me too, Amanda added. You've made our family more complete. Even if messier, Barbara teased. Tyler looked around the table. These people who had been strangers a month ago were now part of his life. It was strange, complicated, sometimes painful, but it was also family. Thank you, he finally said, for accepting me, for trying. I know it's not easy for any of you either. Family is never easy, Barbara said wisely, but it's worth the effort. As Tyler was leaving, Richard William Thompson caught up with him at the door. Tyler, he called. Can I talk to you for a minute? Tyler hesitated, but nodded. I don't deserve your forgiveness, Richard said. I know it might take years before you can look at me without anger, but I want you to know I'll be here waiting, for as long as it takes. Don't wait, Tyler replied. Live your life. Make peace with your other children. Be the father you never were to any of us. I'm trying, Richard admitted. Too late, but I'm trying. It's a start, Tyler acknowledged. He walked away without looking back, but for the first time he didn't feel the weight of the anger he'd carried for so long. Mrs. Wilson had been right. Holding on to resentment was like drinking poison. In the weeks that followed, life began to settle into a new rhythm. Tyler thrived in his new job, forming genuine friendships and proving his professional worth. His lunches with Amanda continued, now sometimes including Philip. Richard kept a respectful distance, sending occasional messages that Tyler sometimes answered briefly. It wasn't a father-son relationship, but it was communication, progress. Barbara finalized her divorce, but surprisingly stayed in touch with everyone. She became something of a stand-in mother for Tyler, calling to check on him and offering advice when asked. You don't have to do this, Tyler told her once. I know, Barbara replied, but I want to. You're part of my children's lives now. That makes you important to me too. It was Amanda who had the idea that would change everything. Let's do something for Hannah, she suggested during lunch one day. Something to honor her memory. Like what? Tyler asked, intrigued. I'm not sure yet, Amanda admitted. But she raised you alone, worked hard. She must have struggled so much. Women like her deserve to be remembered. Tyler felt his eyes well up. No one had ever suggested honoring his mother's memory before. She always wanted to study, he shared, but she had to work when she got pregnant. She always said that once I graduated, she'd go back to school. Then let's do something related to education, Amanda suggested. A scholarship, maybe? For single mothers who want to study. The idea grew. Philip offered to help with the legal side. Barbara knew people at local universities. Even Richard, when he heard through Amanda, offered substantial funding. No, Tyler refused at first. I don't want his money. It's not for you, Amanda argued. It's for other women like Hannah. Let him help. It's the least he can do. Reluctantly, Tyler agreed. Within 2 months, the Hannah Hayes Scholarship was established at a local university, providing financial support and childcare assistance for single mothers pursuing their education. The launch ceremony was emotional. Tyler spoke about his mother, her sacrifices and her dreams. Mrs. Wilson sat in the front row, crying proudly. Richard attended but stayed in the back, respecting Tyler's space. When their eyes met during the speech, Tyler saw tears on his father's face. After the ceremony, the first recipient of the scholarship, a young mother named Madison, approached Tyler. "Thank you," she said, emotional. "You don't know what this means. Being able to study, having someone to care for my son. It's a dream." "My mom would understand," Tyler said. "She believed education changed lives." "She raised an incredible son," Madison replied. "I hope to do the same." As Tyler spoke with other recipients, Richard William Thompson walked over to Mrs. Wilson. "You knew Hannah well," he said hesitantly. "I did," Mrs. Wilson confirmed, studying him with sharp eyes. "What was she like?" Richard asked. "I mean, I knew the young Hannah, but the woman who raised Tyler, she was strong," Mrs. Wilson said after a moment. "Worked 2 jobs, studied at night, never complained. All for Tyler." "Did she hate me?" Richard asked quietly. "At first, yes," Mrs. Wilson was honest. "But Hannah wasn't one to hold grudges. She forgave you, Richard, not for you, but so she could raise Tyler without bitterness." "I didn't deserve her forgiveness," Richard said. "No," Mrs. Wilson agreed, "but that's how Hannah was. Always saw the best in people, even when they didn't deserve it." "Tyler got that from her," Richard observed, looking at his son across the room. "He got a lot from her," Mrs. Wilson said. "The strength, the determination, the ability to forgive. You're lucky he's giving you even a small chance." "I know," Richard said. "Believe me, I know." The event was a success, covered by the local press as a story of resilience and generosity. Tyler felt uncomfortable with the attention, but knew it was for a good cause. That night in his apartment, Tyler looked at the photo of Hannah he kept on his nightstand. "We did it, Mom," he whispered. "Your name will help other women achieve their dreams. I know you'd be proud." His phone buzzed. It was a message from Richard. "The event was beautiful. Hannah would be proud of you. I am too, even if I don't. Have the right to be. Thank you for letting me be part of it, even from a distance." For the first time, Tyler replied with more than one-word answers. "Thank you for supporting the scholarship. Mom always believed in second chances. Maybe it's time I learned from her." The response came quickly. "I don't deserve it, but I'm grateful. No rush. On your time." Tyler set his phone aside and got ready for bed. For the first time in a long while, he felt at peace. It wasn't full forgiveness yet, but it was progress. The months passed. The Hannah Hayes Scholarship grew, helping dozens of mothers. Tyler became actively involved, mentoring some recipients and sharing his story. His relationship with Amanda and Philip deepened. They were truly siblings now, with all the complications and joys that brought. Barbara remained a steady maternal presence, having found her own path after the divorce. With Richard, progress was slow but steady. Brief conversations turned into occasional coffee meetups. Coffee turned into monthly lunches. It wasn't a traditional father-son relationship, maybe. It never would be, but it was something. "How you seem lighter," Amanda noted during one of their lunches. "I feel lighter," Tyler admitted. "It's strange. I spent so long angry that I forgot what it was like to live without that weight." "Mom says forgiveness is freeing," Amanda shared. "Not for the one who receives it, but for the one who gives it." "Your mom is wise," Tyler said. "Our mom," Amanda corrected with a smile. "She adopted you, remember?" Tyler laughed. It was true. Barbara had informally taken him in as a third child, including him in every family occasion. "You know," Tyler said thoughtfully, "a year ago, I was just an employee being humiliated by my boss. Now I have a whole family." "A messy family," Amanda reminded him. "The best ones always are," Tyler replied. His phone rang. It was Robert, his boss. "Tyler, I need to speak with you," Robert said. "Can you stop by my office when you get back?" Tyler felt uneasy. Was he being fired? He had worked so hard. When he entered Robert's office, he found him smiling. "Have a seat," Robert said. "I have a proposal." "Proposal?" Tyler repeated. "You've been doing exceptional work," Robert explained. "The clients love you, your team respects you. I'm opening a branch in another neighborhood. I need someone to manage it. Interested?" Tyler was speechless. Manager? With less than a year at the company. "I don't know what to say," he stammered. "Say yes," Robert suggested with a smile. "You've earned it, Tyler, not because of your last name or your story, but because of your work." "Yes," Tyler said, still processing. "Yes, of course." "Great," Robert shook his hand. "We'll start the transition next month." Tyler left the office in shock. Manager. He was going to be a manager, on his own merit. The first person he called was Amanda. "This is amazing," she shouted. "We have to celebrate. Dinner tonight, my treat." "You always pay," Tyler protested. "Because I'm the rich older sister," Amanda teased. "Just accept it." The celebration dinner included Amanda, Philip, and Barbara. Tyler had hesitated to invite Richard William, but he ended up sending a message. The reply was cautious. "I'd love to be there, but only if you're comfortable with it." Tyler thought for a moment before responding. "You can come, it's a family celebration." When Richard William arrived at the restaurant, he carried a small wrapped gift. "Congratulations," he said, handing it to Tyler. "It's nothing big, just something I thought you'd like." Tyler unwrapped it. It was a silver photo frame with a picture he'd never seen before. Hannah, young, smiling, radiant. "Where did you get this?" Tyler asked, moved. "I kept a few photos," Richard William admitted. "This one was always my favorite. She was so happy that day." "When was it taken?" Tyler asked. "The day she told me about you," Richard William revealed. Before everything went wrong." Tyler looked at the photo of his mother, young and happy, full of hope. His heart tightened. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "It means a lot." The dinner went well. The strange, patched-together family they had become talked naturally, laughing at Amanda's jokes, listening to Barbara's advice, debating with Philip. Richard William participated more than usual, seeming more relaxed. At one point, he turned to Tyler. "I'm proud of you," he said simply. "I know I don't have the right, but I am." "Thank you," Tyler replied. "That means something." It was true. After so long seeking approval that never came, hearing those words, even late, touched something inside him. As they were leaving, Barbara pulled Tyler aside. "I see changes in you," she said. "Good changes." "I'm trying," Tyler said, "to leave the past in the past." "Hannah would be proud," Barbara said, "of the man you've become despite everything." "Or because of everything," Tyler reflected. "The hardships shaped me." "They shaped all of us," Barbara agreed. "The question is what we do with those experiences." Later at home, Tyler placed the photo of Hannah in the new frame next to the one he already had. Two versions of his mother, the young woman full of hope, and the mature woman who raised him with endless love. His phone rang. It was Mrs. Wilson. "I heard the good news," she said. "Manager, Hannah would be so proud." "I hope so," Tyler said. "Without a doubt," Mrs. Wilson affirmed. "And Tyler, I heard you've been having dinners with the Thompson family." "It's complicated," Tyler said. "The best things always are," Mrs. Wilson replied. "Your mother would be happy to see you building bridges instead of walls." "It's still hard," Tyler admitted. "Sometimes I look at Richard and see the man who abandoned us." "And other times?" Mrs. Wilson asked. "Other times I just see an old regretful man trying to fix what he broke," Tyler said. "Progress," Mrs. Wilson observed. "Slow and steady, as your mother used to say." After hanging up, Tyler grew thoughtful. A year ago, he never imagined he'd be where he was now, managing a branch with a complicated yet present extended family, honoring his mother's memory through the scholarship. Life had taken unexpected, turns. The revelation meant to be freeing had become so much more. A journey of discovery, forgiveness, and building bonds. His phone buzzed. It was a message in the family group Amanda had created. A photo of Philip with his girlfriend, announcing their engagement. Congratulations flooded the chat. Tyler smiled at his brother's happiness. Family. He had a family. The launch of the branch Tyler would manage was approaching. He worked long hours preparing everything, determined to succeed. Robert was always available for guidance, confident in his choice. Nervous? Robert asked a week before the E. Opening. Terrified, Tyler admitted. Good, Robert said. It means you care. The best leaders feel the weight of responsibility. What if I fail? Tyler asked. Then you learn and try again, Robert replied. But, Tyler, you won't fail. I've seen how you work, how you treat people. You have everything it takes. The night before the opening, Tyler was in the new space making final adjustments when he heard the door open. It was Richard. Sorry to show up like this, he said. Amanda mentioned you'd be here. Is something wrong? Tyler asked. No. Richard looked around. I just wanted to see, and maybe offer help, if you need it. Tyler hesitated. Accepting help from Richard was still hard. I know you've organized many openings, Tyler finally said. Any advice? Richard seemed surprised but pleased by the request. Trust your team, he said. You chose well. Let them shine. And remember, the first days are chaotic, but that's normal. They talked for an hour about strategies, suppliers, team management. It was the longest and most productive conversation they'd ever had. Thank you, Tyler said as Richard was leaving. That helped. Whenever you need, Richard offered. I know I'm not... Well, I know what I wasn't, but I'm here now if you want. I know, Tyler acknowledged. We're making progress, aren't we? I hope so, Richard said with a sad smile. Opening day was as chaotic as predicted, but thrilling. Tyler's team worked flawlessly. Customers showed up. Sales exceeded expectations. By mid-afternoon, Tyler saw his family arrive. Amanda, with a huge bouquet, Philip with his fiancée Barbara carrying a cake. Even Richard was there, keeping a respectful distance but present. Congratulations, Amanda hugged him. This is amazing. It's a big day, Barbara added. Hannah would be so proud. Tyler felt his eyes well up. In moments like this, his mother's absence ached the most. She's here, Mrs. Wilson appeared, having come with the family. In your smile, your determination, your success. Hannah lives in you, my boy. The afternoon passed in a blur of greetings, sales, and celebration. When he finally caught a breath, Tyler stepped outside for air. Richard was there, watching the activity through the window. Success, he remarked as Tyler joined him. So far, Tyler said modestly. No, Richard disagreed. Success isn't just in the sales. It's in how your team works together, how customers respond to you. That's real leadership. I learned by watching what not to do, Tyler said, then regretted his harshness. Fair enough, Richard William Thompson accepted the blow. I was a terrible example in many ways. But not in everything, Tyler surprised them both by saying. You built a solid business. You just lost your humanity in the process. Size, I lost much more than that, Richard William Thompson said quietly. They fell silent for a moment. Tyler, Richard William Thompson finally said, I know I can never make up for the lost years, but thank you for letting me be part of this, even in a small way. Family is family, Tyler repeated Amanda's words, even when it's messy. Especially when it's messy, Richard William Thompson agreed with a small smile. When Tyler went back inside, he found Madison, the first recipient of the Hannah Hayes Scholarship. Tyler, she exclaimed, I came to show support and bring news. I passed the entrance exam. That's wonderful, Tyler hugged her. Mom would have been so happy. I'll dedicate my graduation to her, Madison promised. Hannah Hayes lives through all of us she helps. The day ended as a success beyond expectations. The team celebrated, the family had dinner together, and Tyler allowed himself a moment of genuine pride. Later in his apartment, exhausted but happy, Tyler looked at the photos of Hannah. I did it, Mom, he whispered. Not the way we planned, but I did it. I have a career, a weird family. I'm helping other mothers like you. I hope you're proud." His phone buzzed with congratulatory messages from friends, colleagues, and scholarship recipients. A life built from the ashes of abandonment and rejection. The last message was from Richard William Thompson. "Today I saw the man you've become in full. Hannah raised someone extraordinary. I thank God every day for your generosity in letting me witness it even though I don't deserve it. Your father." Tyler reread the message several times. Father. It was the first time Richard William Thompson had signed off that way naturally, without hesitation. He started typing a reply, deleted it, started again. Finally, he sent, "Thank you for being there today. It meant something. We're still figuring things out, but it's a process. Good night, Dad." It was the first time Tyler had used the word. He didn't delete the message, didn't regret it. It was just the truth. Complicated, painful at times, but true. Time passed. The branch under Tyler's management thrived, becoming the most profitable in the network within 6 months. Robert joked that he should have promoted Tyler sooner. His relationship with the Thompson family continued to evolve. Philip's wedding was a milestone. Tyler was the best man, something unthinkable a year earlier. Richard William Thompson cried during the ceremony, overwhelmed at having all 3 of his sons together. The Hannah Hayes Scholarship expanded to other universities. Tyler became a frequent speaker on resilience and the importance of education. He always began by talking about his mother. With Richard William Thompson, the relationship would never be perfect. There was too much hurt, too much lost time. But there was also understanding, genuine effort from both sides, small moments of connection. "You know," Amanda said during the 2nd anniversary of the revelation, "our family is proof that it's never too late for change." They were all gathered for a barbecue at Barbara's new home. She had downsized to something cozier, creating a space where everyone felt welcome. "Change is generous," Philip remarked. "I'd say it's more forced adaptation." "Always the optimist," his wife Caroline teased. "Realist," Philip corrected. "But yes, we've adapted well." Richard William Thompson was at the grill, focused on the meat. It was his way of contributing, of being useful without intruding. "Need help?" Tyler offered, walking over. "I'll take it," Richard William Thompson replied, surprised. They worked side by side in comfortable silence. 2 years ago, this would have been unthinkable. "Tyler," Richard William said as they turned the skewers, "I wanted to tell you something." "What?" Tyler asked. "I'm going to retire," Richard William revealed. "Next year, it's about time." Tyler was surprised. "Richard." William had always seemed to live for his work. "And what will you do?" Tyler asked. "I don't know yet," Richard William admitted. "Maybe get more involved with the scholarship. Try to give back a little." "Mom would approve," Tyler said after a moment. "I hope so," Richard William said. "I want to do something meaningful with the time I have left. Something that isn't just about money or power." "It's never too late to start," Tyler offered. "You're proof of that," Richard William agreed. "You turned a terrible situation into something positive. The scholarship, your career, even this." He gestured to the gathered family. "I had a good teacher," Tyler said, thinking, of Hannah. "She always said we could choose to be victims or victors." "Wise Hannah," Richard William murmured. "She was always wiser than me." "Different kinds of intelligence," Tyler said diplomatically. They finished preparing the meat and brought it to the table where everyone was waiting. The conversation flowed naturally, laughter punctuating the shared stories. At one point, Tyler took in the scene, Barbara and Caroline debating recipes, Philip and Amanda discussing politics, Richard William listening intently, chiming in occasionally. An imperfect but functional family. His phone buzzed. It was a message from Madison with a photo, her holding her first semester grades, all excellent. "Thank you for making this possible. Hannah Hayes lives." Tyler showed the photo to the others. "This is what matters," Barbara said, moved, turning pain into purpose. "A toast," Amanda proposed, raising her glass. "To Hannah Hayes, the woman who raised my incredible brother." to second chances, to messy but real families. Everyone raised their glasses. Tyler felt his eyes well up but didn't try to hide it. Some moments deserved tears. Later, while helping clean up, Tyler found himself alone with Richard William in the kitchen. "Thank you," Richard William said out of nowhere. "For what?" Tyler asked. "For giving me a chance," Richard William explained. "For being a better man than I ever was. For teaching me it's never too late to try to be a father, even an imperfect one." "We're all imperfect," Tyler said. "The question is what we do with our imperfections." "You turned yours into strength," Richard William observed. "I let mine define me for too long. But you're changing," Tyler pointed out. "That counts." "I hope so," Richard William said. "Tyler, I love you. I know I have no right. I know I wasted decades, but it's true." Tyler froze. In 2 years, it was the first time Richard William had said those words. Tyler began, unsure how to respond. "You don't have to say anything," Richard William interrupted. "I don't expect it back. I just needed to say it, needed you to know." Tyler took a deep breath. He thought of Hannah, what she would say. He thought of the long road traveled, the bridges built, the forgiveness slowly given. "I love you too," Tyler finally said. "It's complicated, sometimes it hurts, but it's love. Families like that, right?" Richard William began to cry. Tyler, after a moment's hesitation, hugged him. It was awkward, uncomfortable at first, but also right, necessary. When they pulled apart, both were emotional. "Hannah raised a good man," Richard William said. "She did the best she could with what she had," Tyler replied. "We all do." "Some do better than others," Richard William said with a sad smile. "But everyone can improve," Tyler offered. "That's the lesson I learned." Amanda appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Everything okay in here?" she asked, noticing their red eyes. "It is," Tyler assured her. "Just talking." "Important talks, it seems," Jennifer observed with a gentle smile. "The best ones always make you cry a little," Tyler said. The evening ended with more laughter, more stories, more connection. As Tyler was leaving, each family member hugged him. "Same time next month?" Barbara asked. They had established a tradition of monthly dinners. "Wouldn't miss it," Tyler confirmed. In the car on his way home, Tyler turned on the radio. By coincidence, Hannah's favorite song was playing. He turned up the volume and sang along, feeling her presence. "You did it, Mom," he thought. "You taught me to forgive, to build instead, of destroy, to choose love over hate. Thank you." At home, before bed, Tyler picked up a notebook and began to write. He had decided to document his story, the journey of discovery and forgiveness, not to publish it, but for future generations of the family. "For my nieces and nephews to come," he wrote on the first page, "so they understand that family is more than blood, that forgiveness is possible, and that it's never too late to build bridges." He started at the beginning, the day he decided to confront Richard William Thompson. It felt like a lifetime ago, though it had only been 2 years. He wrote about the pain, the anger, the feeling of abandonment, but also about discovering siblings, Barbara's unexpected warmth, the small steps toward forgiveness. He wrote about Hannah, the extraordinary woman who raised him alone, about her life lessons, her unconditional love, her capacity to forgive. He wrote about the scholarship, about Madison and the other mothers changing their lives, about how pain can transform into purpose. He wrote about the slow and sometimes painful process of building a relationship with Richard William Thompson, about learning to look beyond mistakes, to recognize the flawed humanity in all of us. When he finished, the sun was rising. Tyler had written all night, purging years of emotions onto the page. He carefully put the notebook away. One day, when the time was right, he'd share it with the family. For now, it was his final act of healing. The phone rang. It was Amanda. "You didn't sleep, did you?" she asked. "I saw your message online at 4 a.m. "I was writing," Tyler explained. "About us?" Amanda guessed. "About everything," Tyler confirmed. "About how one bad day's revelation turned into all this. A beautiful, dysfunctional family," Amanda finished. "Exactly," Tyler laughed. "The best kind of family." "Coffee," Amanda offered. "I can come over." "Always," Tyler accepted. While making coffee and waiting for Amanda, Tyler looked around his apartment. Photos of Hannah still held pride of place, but now they had company. Pictures of Philip's wedding, the scholarship launch, family dinners. A full life, built on the foundation Hannah had laid and expanded in ways she might never have imagined. The doorbell rang. It was Amanda, as always punctual and smiling. "Brought cheese bread," she announced. "Barbara made it yesterday." "Barbara is a treasure," Tyler said, accepting the still warm bag. They sat down for coffee, talking about everything and nothing. It was comfortable, natural, like real siblings. "You know," Amanda said at one point, "sometimes I wonder what it would have been like if you hadn't revealed everything that day." "We'd probably still be living lies," Tyler said. "Yeah," Amanda agreed. "You freed us, in a way, forced us all to face hard truths." "It was freeing for me too," Tyler admitted. "Carrying a secret that long, it's heavy." "And now?" Amanda asked. "No secrets, no anger. What comes next?" "Life," Tyler said. Simply, just life, with you all part of it. "I like that," Amanda smiled. "Life with a messy family included." "Wouldn't have it any other way," Tyler said sincerely. And it was true. Despite all the pain, all the drama, all the tears, Tyler wouldn't change the path he had taken. Every moment had led him here, a life with purpose, family, and love. Hannah always said everything happens for a reason. Tyler finally understood what she meant. The story that began with humiliation and revelation had transformed into something greater. A story about forgiveness, about second chances, about the human capacity for change and growth. A story about family, not perfect, not traditional, but real and present. A story Hannah Hayes would have been proud to see her son living. In the office where it all began, now under new management after Richard William Thompson's retirement, a plaque was placed in the main conference room, Hannah Hayes Hall, in memory of an extraordinary woman and devoted mother. It was the employees' idea, many of whom had witnessed the dramatic revelation years earlier, a reminder that choices have consequences, but also that redemption is possible. Tyler visited the office for the plaque's unveiling. It felt strange to be back, but also symbolic. The place of humiliation had become a memorial to his mother. "She'd be embarrassed by all the attention," Tyler said to Jennifer, who still worked there. "But she'd deserve every bit of it," Jennifer replied. "Hannah Hayes raised you. That alone deserves recognition." Richard was present, standing quietly in the back. When his eyes met Tyler's, there was equal parts pride and regret. After the ceremony, father and son walked together to the elevator. "Thank you for allowing this," Tyler said. "It was the least I could do," Richard answered. "Honestly, Jennifer had to convince me not to name the whole building after her." Tyler laughed. "Mom would have definitely thought that was overkill." "Probably," Richard agreed. "But she deserved far more than I ever gave her." "She had what she wanted most," Tyler said. "To see me happy and fulfilled." "Then she had everything," Richard said softly. In the elevator, riding down together, Tyler reflected on the journey. From humiliated employee to acknowledged son, from bitter man to beloved brother, from an orphan with a living father to a member of a complex yet loving family. "Coffee?" Richard offered when they reached the lobby. "Sure," Tyler accepted. They walked side by side through the busy streets, two men who shared DNA and a complicated history, but had chosen to build something from the wreckage of the past. Over coffee, they talked about the present and the future. Richard shared plans to expand the Hannah Hayes Scholarship. Tyler mentioned the possibility of starting his own business. "If you need an investor," Richard began. "Thank you," Tyler gently interrupted. "But I want to do this on my own. Prove it to myself, you know." "I understand," Richard said with pride. "That's how it should be." When they said goodbye, the hug came naturally, no longer forced or awkward. "See you at Sunday dinner," Richard said. "See you Sunday, Dad," Tyler replied. The word was still new, still carried weight, but it was no longer impossible. Tyler walked back to his car thinking of Hannah, how she had always believed in the power of forgiveness, the importance of family, the human capacity for change. You were right, Mom, he thought. About everything. His life was proof of it. A life built not on anger or abandonment, but on love, forgiveness, and the courage of a woman who chose to raise her son with hope instead of bitterness. Hannah Hayes was gone, but her legacy lived on. In Tyler, in the women, the scholarship. Helped, in the family that had finally learned to love despite everything. On the car dashboard, Hannah's photo smiled at him. Tyler smiled back and started the engine. Life went on, full of possibilities and promises. And he was ready to live it fully, carrying the lessons from his mother and building a future. That honored her sacrifice. The abandoned boy had become a complete man, not in spite of his story, but because of it. And somewhere, Tyler was sure, Hannah Hayes was smiling proudly. The end of the story. Now tell us what you thought of the story and where you're watching from. Do you think Tyler did the right thing by forgiving Richard William Thompson? We'd love to read your opinion in the comments. Thank you for joining us. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories.